What's up, folks? It's 2bricks, and I'm back with a very exciting project here as we approach the holiday season. This is going to be my custom ultimate Star Wars Advent Calendar build series. And so what I have done is I have designed 25 mini ship models that are going to represent each day in the lead up to Christmas and then Christmas Day itself. So with your standard Advent calendar, you only go up to Christmas Eve. I'm going all the way up to Christmas Day because I just always felt a little unsatisfied not having anything to build on Christmas Day. I do understand, of course, you're opening your presents that day, and so that the countdown is over, but still, I wanted to give you guys a little extra bonus build. So the way that this is going to work is I'm going to be unveiling the full parts list for the builds, as well as showing you guys all of what's in store. And then you'll be able to either order all of the parts that you if you want to build all of them, or if you have specific ones that you're interested in, I will also be releasing each day as its own separate model with a parts list on the corresponding day of the month. So each day that we go through December, that day's build will be released as its own separate model that you can just pick up and order the parts for just that if you're interested in a few but not all of them. I tried to make 25 super duper kick-ass models, and hopefully you guys get a kick out of seeing them. They're much more detailed than obviously what's possible for an Advent calendar build that just has a small handful of parts. Mine are much more detailed, some of them have 100 parts plus, but they're all still really scaled down, but absolutely jam-packed with details and action features. And so later on in this video, we're gonna have a spoiler section where I go through each of the ships for the month with you guys and show you all the little features and details that I'm super proud of. So if you are interested and you don't care about spoilers, you can definitely check that out, and then you'll know exactly what is in store for the month before you buy. So again, if you do want to just hang on and get the ones that you're interested in specifically, you can just go ahead and wait and get those on the day. So yeah, I wanted to make options for you guys available. And the way that it's going to work if you order all of the parts is that the instructions will be released daily on Rubrickable. Like, I'll be adding them to the instructions section, so each one will get uploaded throughout the month. And I'm also going to create a mailing list, so if you want to send me your email, I will also just provide those directly to you each day, and you can build the model that corresponds to that day, and then you'll see your big pile of Lego will whittle down throughout the month until you have just the final build left, and that's going to be a lot of fun, I think. Especially if you're somebody who does this with your kids every year. I've been collecting these every year since 2011. I don't have kids, but I just enjoy having a little something to open up and build every day of the month. And so if you're opening up one particular day and it's a little bit of a disappointing build or something that you or your kid are not interested in, you can hop on over to my one and see what's available for the day and maybe build something really cool. At least that's my hope. So, so yeah, that's kind of the project, and we're going to get into the spoiler section here in a little bit. I do hope that I explained the concept well enough for you guys here, so for anybody who's interested in ordering it. But what I'm going to be doing here is a full saga celebration from all of the episodes of the Skywalker Saga, so the mainline movies, the spin-off movies, animated shows, and video games will be getting a shout out. There's 25 days, and that's plenty to represent my love and share it with you guys for the entire Star Wars saga. You guys might know I'm a full Star Wars appreciator. I really don't have a specific era that I love the most. I love it all in different ways equally, and I appreciate every part of the saga. So I'm trying to represent that here in my selection of ships, which you guys will be seeing in a second. And I'm just really excited to share all of the little details and functions and cool things I was able to squeeze into these teeny little designs, and hopefully get everybody excited about the Star Wars experience and the holiday season. So really excited about that. So before we jump into spoilers here, I just want to give a quick shout out to today's patron of the video, and that is Zerker, or perhaps Zyker. I kind of went back and forth on how to say it, but Zyker is one of my $4 patrons, or at least, and it so is eligible for a shout out in the video. And if you too want to have your name butchered, you can head on over to Patreon, support the channel using one of the tiers that is above the $4 level, and you will be eligible for a video shout out as well. So thank you so much to Zerker, or Zyker, for being a supporter of mine. I much appreciate it. It helps me to continue to do the things that I do here on the channel. So Without further ado, we're going to get on with the spoiler section in 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go. Spoilers. Let's go. All right, folks. So here is the full lineup for now that we're into the spoiler section. I can show you everything. I'm going to take each of these, take them in sort of chunks and highlight them all individually in a second here. But I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the whole thing. And as you can see here, this is the full saga. You know, we're going through, like I mentioned before, the movies, the animated shows, the spin-off movies, the video games. There's a couple of video games represented here too. And yeah, I just really wanted to shine a light on the whole saga. The one thing I think that really unifies Star Wars fans is their love of the design of the different fantastical elements, particularly starships and vehicles within the Star Wars universe. And I think that that's something we can all rally around and celebrate. And so no matter what kind of Star Wars fan you are, I think there's something here for you to love. And hopefully, even if you don't want to get all of them, you'll definitely get a kick out of getting one or two for your collection. So there's some of these that are based off of loosely, and some quite closely actually, the microfleet vehicles that I have. And that is simply because they were the correct size for what I wanted to do. But I've overhauled all of them in some significant fashion or another. There's nothing here that's just lifted directly from the microfleet. These are all unique designs or severely retooled designs. So the only ones that bear similarity are right back here, the Old Republic, that's the Ebon Hawk. Boba Fett's starship is tweaked but similar looking. Let's see what else. Oh, the Ghost is sort of similar but entirely redesigned and completely new with different techniques. The Fondor Holcraft here has been very similar to the official microfleet version that I've put out, except that I've redesigned the wings so that they're much more flexible and can do a lot more of what we see in the show. And then everything else is pretty much entirely new. Oh, the Solo Falcon here as well has been completely redesigned in order to have actually the escape pod be able to come off, which is something that my microfleet version of the same vehicle could not do. So I'm actually going to be replacing some of the microfleet with the new versions that I've designed here because I think they're so much superior to what I had before. So really excited about all that. But you can see here the size and the scale completely varies, and it's just simply dependent on a ship-to-ship basis what I think is the minimum size I needed to represent all the details and functions that I wanted to see. So, you know, there's no unifying scale, and overall, I'm just really excited to have all of these, different ships, even if they're not all to the same scale, even if they're not unified like that, they're still, they're all Star Wars and, the full saga. So, yeah, I'm going to dive into the kind of first round of breakdowns. I'm going to show you guys all the different details and features in each one. So let's start with the kind of pre-Phantom Menace type area back here, and then we'll go from there. All right, so starting with days 1 through 6, this is the collection right here. So we're starting all the way back here at the Old Republic with the Ebon Hawk. This is the redesigned Ebon Hawk that is much more accurate to what we see on screen. Greatly improved engine pods back here. A detail that was crucially missing back here before that I didn't have in my original design for the microfleet version of this ship. And then just overall, yeah, improved parts usage and improved proportions overall. We have the curve at the front here that I didn't have before, curve coming under here that I didn't have before. So there's just a lot of nice detail and form that I was not able to get in here. Previously, a little bit of tapering off of the gray design in here that's new as well. So yeah, this has been considerably overhauled from what I had in the microfleet, and I'm really happy with the design now. This is my new microfleet version of the Ebon Hawk, and I'm super thrilled about it. Day 2 will feature the Poland 717. This is the Jedi cruiser from the Acolyte. It's actually kind of two ships in one. So this has the back section here, which is the hyperdrive booster ring thing that sits out in orbit, and then the actual Poland itself, the Jedi transport, breaks off from that and then goes down to the planet to land. You can see here I've represented all of the details that you would want to see from this thing. It's a really interesting, weird shape with these big engines at the front. This little kind of scoop down here where I think is there's a boarding ramp comes down from here, or some stairs that can kind of lead up into the ship from here. And then we have a one-sided sort of a turret here with some communications equipment and things on it. And yeah, this is the main transport that the Jedi were going around in during that whole saga of the Acolyte, one of the most maligned shows in Star Wars history. I think unfairly so, but I don't want to get into that now in this video. But I do think that this Jedi shuttle was a really cool addition. It's a massive ship. This actually is underscaled for the microfleet So I'll probably be doing another one at some point that's larger scale still, but I'm really happy with the functionality I was able to get in here, especially with the separation. There's nothing actually connecting these physically, just friction, but it still holds together fairly well. And if you build it and you squeeze everything together nicely, it should hold itself together really well. And it's just fun to be able to just take that off and just fly down to the planet. So yeah, really happy with the pollen. So that's day 2. And day 3 is the first and only time that we will go out of sequential order for this. This is the Onyx Cinder from the upcoming Skeleton Crew show. And the reason why we're going out of order is because this is December 3rd, which is the day that the show premieres. So there's going to be a 2-episode premiere that day, a very exciting event. Of course, a new Star Wars piece of media dropping is always a huge deal. So I wanted to have this out the same day so you could celebrate and get hyped for the show and build the main ship from it. If you didn't get the official set, you can see that the proportions and everything here are very close. It's all just scaled down. We have the bubble turrets, the gun turrets, the swiveling engines. I was able to capture front and back for that. The back ones are a little bit loose, so you have to just kind of squeeze those in. I'm sorry, I lost a piece of landing gear under here. There that is. But yeah, you can see here all of the main things from the Lego set I was able to squeeze into this, other than, of course, having an interior. Who can expect an interior on a ship this tiny? But yes, there is day 3, and I'm super happy with it. And day 4 is the classic Naboo N1 Starfighter. Just a beautiful craft, and I'm so happy that I was able to represent this more faithfully than some of the ones we've gotten previously in official Lego Advent Calendar sets, or even polybags that always make this thing look really weird. I wanted to really try to capture it as best as I could. And I think I got all of the major parts in here the way that you'd expect to see. There's no features on it other than the fact that the wings can angle, but that's only so that you can get this slight angling that the wings and the engines have here. And then that also doubles as giving you the laser gun barrel trenches that run through the front of the ship and give it that iconic look in the front there. And so it kind of serves a dual function, and I'm super happy with that otherwise. But yeah, there's day 4, the Naboo N1 Starfighter. And next up here for Attack of the Clones, we have the day 5 build. This is, of course, the most iconic ship, I think, from the prequels, and that is the LAAT gunship. It's got everything that you would expect to see. The open crew bay back here. We have the adjustable turrets right here for the laser guns. Got the little front doorway entrance here. The 2 seats here for the gunner and the pilot. And then, the engines are represented up here, really nice and thin and elongated like how they should be. There's even an opening backdoor ramp here, and a little bit of a nod to my minifigure scale LAAT that I built earlier this year. And if you know what that is. So then there's that. And then we have the doors back here that are obviously not opening. They're static in the open position. But yeah, I tried to represent as much detail as I possibly could into this thing to really make it feel like just a scaled down version of the set, but without really compromising on the look. So hopefully you guys get a kick out of this. I really enjoy this design myself, and I want to actually make some mini dioramas to put this thing into. And day 6 is celebrating the Clone Wars show. So we have here the Venator Star Destroyer. We have the slightly different markings that are only for the Venator that we see in the Clone Wars, as well as the red bridges there. So this would be the same version that LEGO represented with their UCS Venator from last year, or earlier this year. I forget exactly when that came out. We have all the different engines back here represented, all the different sizes and thicknesses of engines. That was really fun. And then just all of the little kind of detailing in here for the way that the plates all come together. Even this little kind of rounded off section at the front here represented with a hinge piece. So really fun on that. And it's obviously such an iconic design for Clone Wars fans. I even have down in here the landing bay, the hangar bay for the underneath side. So if you want to imagine various ships getting captured by a tractor beam and brought up into the underside of the ship, you can totally do that here. And I'm just really happy with this as the choice for the Clone Wars, because it's probably the most iconic ship of the Clone Wars, I would say, because it's in practically every episode. So here we have the next batch, and starting off with the episode 3 ship here, we have the ARC 170 Starfighter. This thing is absolutely massive, and like you can see, just jam-packed with detail. We have the opening fins, so you can actually close those up pretty much all the way. So if you actually bend these parts right here, you can bend those down into the fully closed up position, or you can open them back up again and just sort of adjust those to be straight, like so. And yeah, this is one of my favorite episode 3 original designs. You have the huge underwing cannons here, the room for so many different crew members. So you have the pilot and gunner and the rear gunner as well. And then there's iconic pink engines back there, that's sort of X-Wing-like configuration of the wings. It's all there, and I'm absolutely thrilled with this design. So there's the ARC 170. And picking up directly after episode 3, we have the Bad Batch, and here we have the Marauder from the Bad Batch show. So again, a very scaled down representation for something that I've actually made a full-size version of, and I'm super, super happy with how this one came out. I got all the different kind of beat up panels in here, the different angles of different kind of paneling through using these fluted profile bricks here. We have the back gunner turret, engines, and obviously the folding wings with those nice sharp angles on them. That is, of course, what you'd want to see. And we have the landing gear down below as well, so you can just fold the wings up like you'd want to see and then pose it on its landing gear. So really, really happy with this one. Bad Batch, such an underrated show. And from Kenobi, we have the Inquisitor Scythe. This is such a cool design. And again, from a really underrated part of the Star Wars galaxy, I feel like the Kenobi show was criminally undervalued, I think, for what it gave us in terms of story and really cool designs and things we never thought we'd get to see in live action, like the Inquisitors running around being crazy and doing cool stuff. So we have the boarding ramp is actually represented here underneath, so you can actually open that up and you can have your Inquisitors pretend that they're going in there. Of course, I don't have any Inquisitors to this scale, but there's that. And we have the nice angled wings here, really sharp angles once again, and nice thin wings, and just really capturing that shape the way that you'd want to see it, I hope. So so there is the Inquisitor Scythe. And going into the Solo, a Star Wars story side of things here, we have the Millennium Falcon. This is the only representation of the Falcon that I have for this series, but it's one that I think is, that I love, that is really underrepresented. And of course we have the escape pod that can be removed here, so you can get your classic front mandibles to look how they look at the end of the Solo movie. But yeah, this is pretty much the same build, except for I have a different piece and a solution here for the hyperdrive, but it's pretty much the same build that I have for my Microfleet Falcon, with colors being swapped, and of course the addition of the docking there for the front escape pod here, and the escape pod itself. So those are both new. But yeah, this is a simplified, kind of stripped down version of the Falcon that allows it to be built a lot more easily. It doesn't rely on any rubber bands or minifig hands or weird techniques like that. And I'm still really, really proud of the design overall. And I do have access to a couple of new parts that I didn't have before, such as these white claw pieces to just continue that nice white design for the cockpit through there. And I'm really happy with it. So there is your Solo Falcon. Day 11 is a brand new design for miniature Stinger Mantis. For me, I have actually built a much larger mini scale version of the Stinger Mantis for the Microfleet series. This one is much more stripped down. I just felt like it was too large to include that one for being a micro, advent calendar build. But the functionality is still here. So we have the wings that can fold down, and you can independently, but you can rotate the body, the front and back, to get the wings to the side. You have the front cannons and the little nice representation under here for the cheese wedges for that cockpit. And the ship also kind of steps down gradually as we get towards the front section here. So really nice shaping throughout all of this that I was really happy to be able to capture. And of course, all the important details, the engines, the grills, all that good stuff is in here. And there's the Stinger Mantis. So yeah, absolutely legendary game series. Can't wait for the third one. And I'm just so happy to have the Mantis in here for representing day 11. And day 12 sees us in Andor territory with the Fondor Holdcraft. So like I was mentioning before, I've redone the way that the wings attach here, just using these black skeleton arms to give us this really nice flexibility to be able to actually see exactly what we see in the show. So when the ship lands and the wings are up like this, that's what we're used to seeing in the show. We have the lightsaber laser beams off to the side here. We have the nice multiple blue engines back here represented. And then, the ability to fold these wings down is obviously crucial as well to the look of the show, because when Andor, or when Luthen is being chased while he's flying this thing, he kind of uses these to block enemy attacks while he's lasering everybody with his awesome Batmobile of a starship. So absolutely love this thing, and I'm really happy to be able to bring you guys a greatly improved, functionality-wise anyway, a greatly improved version from the Microfleet series that you can build for yourself. So there is day 12. And here we are at the end of the tail end of the Civil War, and the original trilogy really gets going here. So starting off with the Ghost, obviously from Star Wars Rebels. My microfleet version of this ship is quite dramatically different and relies on some really expensive old parts that aren't made anymore. And this new version is much more clean and much more efficient. And not to mention, I have the Phantom 2 back here instead of the Phantom 1 represented in my original build. So you get that nice shark fin look for that. But all of the important details that you'd want to see, the cockpit, the guns, the bubble turret on the top is all here, and the way that hopefully you would want to see it. I'm really happy with this design overall, and it's very sturdy and very chunky and just nice to hold and play with, like what you'd expect. So yeah, there's the Ghost in its Rebels form, and I'm really proud of this one. And then into Rogue One, we get the U-Wing Starfighter. So this is again much larger than my microfleet version, but it has the same functionality. So we have the wings. Obviously, that's the crucial part. The wings can fold back and go into the full kind of flight mode. And then they can come forward here for the landing. So they act as, covering for the troops as they make their way out onto the battlefield. So I just have a really simplified representation down here for the troop bay, where these are the sliding doors that can open. We have a nice clip and tile technique in here to represent that underside window where the pilots can look out of. And I'm just really happy with the overall look of this thing. Even getting the little bit of blue striping into the engines here, that was something that was really crucial for me to get just right. And I'm really happy with this overall design for the U-Wing, because it's just such an iconic part of the Rogue One era of the timeline. So there's that. And then for A New Hope, we have the X-Wing Starfighter. Is there a more instantly recognizable thing in Star Wars? Well, perhaps, but I think this is one of the most, it's up there for sure in terms of iconic status. Maybe the Millennium Falcon rivals it, but I wanted to get this in here. That was really crucial to me. So just the ability to just pinch these two engines together on the bottom and have the S-foils pop into attack position there. That was crucial to me, and that's what I was able to do. And I'm so thrilled with that. Using these relatively new slope pieces to get that nice sharp angle for the fuselage there. It just feels so satisfying, and it's so fun to fly this thing around. Of course, we have a little micro R2 back here. And yeah, the really nice kind of shaping on here for the cockpit. Just really happy with this one overall. And I think, I couldn't have thought of a better pick for the one to represent A New Hope, because, this is what took down the Death Star, this very ship. So yeah, super thrilled with how this one turned out. Hopefully you guys like it too. For The Empire Strikes Back, I really wanted to do something different, and this is very different indeed. This is the twin pod cloud car. It's one that I always enjoy figuring out how to make at various scales, because it's such a unique, weird looking thing. It's basically two carrots joined up in the middle, and I'm just really happy that I was able to come up with a cool and kind of unique design for this, and hopefully you guys like it too. It doesn't have any features as such, because it's purely just flies around on Cloud City and doesn't really do anything except for warn you to not stray out of your flight pattern. But yeah, I really like the overall look of this, and I think it looks very slick, and I'm really happy with it. So there you go. There's your Empire Strikes Back build. And here we have the Trailblazer from Star Wars Outlaws, the new video game that just debuted very recently, and that is set in between Empire and Return of the Jedi, so that's why it is here at this part of the timeline. So we have the little door sort of entrance part right here, and then there would be the entrance ramp back here as well, and a nice angled section back here, these fins off to the side, and of course the engines, which can move up and down to represent the different sort of flight speeds like what we see in the actual video game. So this can go all the way down for your landing, or all the way up for flight mode. And just really nice overall shaping, and very chunky, and just a fun, satisfying build here for something that is really, I think has quickly become a very iconic ship for those of us who enjoy Star Wars Outlaws, a game that I have not streamed after my debut of streaming it. I have not gotten back to doing it because I've just been too darn busy with all of this stuff. So hopefully I can get back to that soon. But yeah, this was a really fun one to do. And it's, I think it's one of the only ones that I've actually never made any kind of representation for in Lego. So this was a really fun new experience. Getting to really know all the angles of the ship was super fun. So there is the Trailblazer. And then we have Return of the Jedi. We have my newly designed shuttle Tidarium, which is quite a bit bigger than the one that I had in my micro fleet, although it does take a few bits of design inspiration, so the top wing and the cockpit specifically, but the body and the wings and how all of that is attached is completely redone and rethought out. and I think it looks much, much better. I'm actually missing a piece right here, so I only have 3 of these in my collection, bizarrely, but I really wanted to represent this nice rounded oval blue engine back here, and I just need to order 1 more of those. But again, we're relying on the hinge piece back here for the gun turret to get that nice little round shape sticking out. And then, yeah, the way that the windshield just sort of wraps around there just feels absolutely perfect to me. And there it is. There's the shuttle Tydirium, one of the most iconic ships from Return of the Jedi because of that opening scene. Palpatine arriving for his Death Star inspection in the beginning, and then Luke using this to escape at the end. Obviously, it's not the exact same shuttle Tydirium, but it's still it's very iconic for that. And yeah, I really love this design. So there you go. And the final batch of ships here takes us through the Mandoverse and then into the sequel trilogy era. So starting off with the Razor Crest. This is a fully new design for the Razor Crest, and I just could not be happier with it. I think all of the details and the panels and the angles and lines just feel so right on this to me, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to show this to you guys right now. This probably took me the longest to design of anything in the lineup, and I think that's just simply due to how much detail is in this thing and needed to be in this thing. So we have the landing gear under here with these bracket pieces and ingots upside down, and then we have the bionicle eye pieces in here used for these very specifically shaped side fins here. So we have the top and bottom angles of the fin represented. I'm super thrilled with all of that. The engines were really fun and tricky to figure out, and they just have a really nice kind of not too bulbous but sort of satisfyingly chunky look to them, and I'm really happy with that as well. We have Din Djarin's escape pod up here ready to be fired off, and just overall I'm really happy with this design. So there is the Razor Crest, which I guess will be making its triumphant return next year or in 2026 whenever we see the Mandalorian movie. It looks like from some sneak peeks we're going to be seeing a new Razor Crest or perhaps some flashbacks to the original, but either way, I'll take it. I love this ship and I'm happy to see more of it. So there's that. And then next up we have Boba Fett's starship / Slave One. And this is when Boba Fett decides to go and try to retrieve his armor from the Sarlacc pit. And he does basically this. He angles the Slave One down into the Sarlacc pit and looks right down at it. And of course, the monster inside, like we all knew was going to happen, jumps out and grabs the ship. So you can recreate that moment here. So this is the first kind of diorama-based one, first and only. But I didn't want to just leave you guys with the Slave One for the Book of Boba Fett. This scene felt more appropriate and iconic, to put it in some context, to really Book of Boba Fett-ify it. And I'm really pleased with the overall outcome here. But yeah, there you go. And the mini Sarlacc, obviously also packed with as much detail as I could get into an 8x8 base. I really like the little kind of cracks here at the opening of the mouth, just using these rounded parts here to get that, and then the teeth and the beak and all that is all in there. So yeah, this is a really fun one to do. And on the ship here is slightly redesigned specifically with the internals to be able to have this be supported at the back here on a ball joint. So you can just prop it up on the clear base there and just really recreate this moment. And I'm really happy with it. So there is Slave One from the Book of Boba Fett. Next up is a ship that is near and dear to my heart. This is the T6 shuttle from the Ahsoka show. So this is one that I've been spending a lot of time looking at and designing this year due to my having done a minifigure scale rendition of this ship. But obviously this is the teeny tiny version, but it's still got all the details in here. We have the gun turret. We have the 4 engines back here, these little I don't think they're guns, but these sort of like antenna elements coming out of the back. And of course, the ability for the body to rotate around and for you to have this ship be in sort of this flight mode, this aggressive vertical stance here. And yeah, I'm just really thrilled with how all of that turned out. So you have to, basically, once you rotate the body, you sometimes have to reattach the little stud right here that plugs into the wings. And that's just something that's kind of a little bit of an annoying thing, but it's really the best way that I found to have the body and the head go together, is to just attach it on the one end and have a bar that runs through to the cockpit. And then so those just swivel together. And yeah, I'm really happy with how all of that looks. And there you go. Just like my official minifigure scale one, this does not have a stand that I'm happy with. So you can't stand it up in vertical mode, but you can just swoosh it around your house this way. And I'm really happy with that. So there you go. And thank you guys all for your patience and not bugging me too much about the T6 that I'm still working on the instructions for. That's been really appreciated. Next up, we have Star Wars Resistance, and this is the Fireball, the kind of racing variant of an X-Wing type of ship that we didn't really ever get to see in Star Wars until this point. And I really love this ship design. It's such a unique, cool looking design, especially with these angled up wings. It's very sort of World War II fighter-esque type of a design. And I tried to be as accurate as I could with capturing this. There's a couple of actually off-color parts on here that I have since swapped out. Like these white elements here are actually the same green, the sand green, as these clips to continue some of that green design. I just didn't have any on hand. And yeah, there's a couple of other small swaps that I made for overall for the color scheme, but this is pretty accurate to what we see in the final model, and very accurate to what we see in the show. I think, again, relying on these relatively new slope parts to really capture the bulk of this whole fuselage here, and the kind of little nose bump that I really like on that design is captured in there nicely as well. And then, you know, the going down into these front little kind of fins with the guns on them. Just a really, really cool design overall for a really good show that I think a lot of people didn't really give a chance to. But if you ever do want some cool Star Wars racing action, give Resistance a look. So yeah, there's that. And for The Force Awakens, we have the TIE Fighter where Finn and Poe first met and struck up their friendship. So we have the back turret right here and the little antenna. This is the Special Forces TIE Fighter. And then up at the front here, we have the inkwell piece in trans clear for the windshield. And a new design that I'm super proud of that relies on a 7-stud tall design here for the wings that really captures that shape as best as I possibly could, especially at this tiny scale, but relies on some really tricky math to get that to fit just right, and to be able to line these wedge pieces up here with the 7-stud wide section in the middle. So there's that. It was a really fun and tricky build, and I think one of the cooler new designs, or redesigns, I guess, that we got for The Force Awakens, that featured a pretty prominent role, both story-wise and just looked really cool on screen. So there is the First Order Special Forces TIE Fighter. And from the opening scene of The Last Jedi, we have Tali Lintra's blue A-Wing starfighter here. So this is the Resistance era A-Wing that has the nice kind of really elongated, slick design. So this probably feels weird if you're familiar more with the classic A-Wing. This probably feels weirdly long to you, and that is intentional. It was really fun and tricky to figure out how to get the blue design in here to be just right, and the little gap in the front nose here, that little cutout. All of that was really, really fun to figure out exactly how to capture. And then the little bit of red in here also, just a nice little nod to the fact that this is specifically Tali Lintra's X-Wing, or A-Wing. And then under here we have the single landing gear that just allows this to sit flat when you put it on with the wings there. And then we have the engine pods back here. So just a really, really fun design overall, and one that I really liked, and I wish we got to see more of in The Last Jedi, but it doesn't make it past the first 10 minutes of the movie, so bummer on that. But hey, at least we get a really cool mini build here out of it. So there is the Resistance A-Wing from The Last Jedi. And for the end here, this is day 25, and we're going back to the beginning, just like they did in The Rise of Skywalker. And I wanted to do the same thing here and just go back and celebrate the very beginning of Star Wars. Obviously, the first ship we ever see on screen in a Star Wars movie is the Tantive 4, flying in over the top of camera, being chased by the Star Destroyer in those super iconic opening moments of the first Star Wars movie. So here that is, and I'm just absolutely thrilled with this design. I used some really unorthodox parts usage, like these little Technic arms right in here. And then the way that all of these engines are connected in together here took me absolutely ages to figure out, but I'm so happy with how it all turned out, and the spacing for all of these feels just right to me. And so, this is my one of my absolute favorite designs from this whole series. And we have the little fez pieces in here to just slightly give that conical look up at the front, and it all feels right, and I'm just super happy with it. So there is the finale of the saga and the beginning of the saga, and it's the beginning of the end of the beginning. And I'm just super, super happy to be able to have this one in here in the collection. So technically, I guess you could say we have 2 A New Hope ships in here, but this is specifically meant to be the version that we see at the end of The Rise of Skywalker. So there you go. All right, you guys, so that is the collection. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Are you going to be purchasing the whole kind of series here? Are you going to be getting one or two or three individual ones when they come out? I'm really interested to know what the response is going to be like to this project. This has been really fun, but really labor intensive. Figuring out 25 brand new designs was definitely not easy to do for this project. So I'm really, really excited to see what everybody thinks, but I'm just so happy to be able to celebrate the saga that I love. With some cool, innovative little mini builds here. So yeah, there's that. So thank you guys again so much for tuning in, and happy holidays to all of you as you are watching this as we approach the holiday season. If you do end up ordering your parts now, I think we all should be on the same page when December 1st rolls around and we can start building. Hopefully that's the case. I did try to get this out as early as I could in the year. I actually started designing these ships I think at the end of September or like mid-September maybe. And it's just taken me a while to get all of them out to you guys. So apologies on that. If I do an advent calendar next year, I'm going to do a different theme, and I'm going to also try to start earlier on in the year so that there's even more time to be able to get everything that you need if you want to build along. So if you do like what I'm doing here on the channel, please leave me a like, leave me a comment to let me know either way. Any engagement is fine by me. And consider subscribing. And also, if you want to support the channel, head on over to my Patreon page and check out some of the perks we have over there. I'm really happy with what we have going on right now. And that's going to do it for today. So thank you guys again for tuning in. I'll see you on December 1st when we begin to unveil these and roll them out. But until then, thank you for watching, and may the force be with you.